I'm Paul Sanger for the Finance News Network, and today I'm talking to Far Northern Resources, who are planning to list on the ASX on Friday under the code FNR. Far Northern Resources is an advanced Brisbane-based gold exploration and base metals company. They have 3 projects across northern Queensland and the Northern Territories. The 2 Tier 1 projects, Empire and Bridge Creek, are significantly advanced and sit on mining leases, are drill ready, and both hold JORC compliant resources. I'm speaking today with their CEO, Cameron Woodrow. Cameron, welcome to the network.
Thanks, Paul, and thanks for having us.
So Cameron, it's the first time we've had Far Northern Resources on the network. Can you give us a brief overview of the company?
Far Northern Resources was incorporated in 2017. We've been out in northern Queensland, in and around the town of Chillagoe, for the best part of 5 or 6 years, focusing on one project predominantly, which is the Empire Stockwork project. It sits on a mining lease, it's open in each direction, it's open at depth, and it's got drill ready targets.
Cameron, let's talk now in a little more detail about the 3 projects you currently own, starting with Empire.
Empire's in North Queensland, as we said. It's 200 k's west of Cairns. It's almost sealed roads all the way up to Chillagoe these days. Chillagoe itself, beautiful little mining town with all the amenities that you'd expect: workforce, fuel, water, airstrips. The Empire project is just about 20 kilometres west of the town of Chillagoe. It's got a small resource. There's 2 breccia pipes on the property. To date, we're just drilling around the northern end of the first breccia. We've got about 20 to 25,000 ounces of gold there in the top 40 metres at the moment. There's indications of a porphyry at depth. Far Northern Resources on listing is intending to continue with the drilling program that we started in 2019-2020 and step out away from the Empire project to the south.
And how much bigger could Empire be?
There is the loaded question. Mate, that's probably something that should be answered by a geologist. The intention at the moment is to do another 5,000 to 10,000 metres of drilling at Empire over the next 2 years. There's multiple targets at Empire that I think could significantly increase the resource. We drilled it to about 50 metres, but we also put some deeper holes down to 150 metres. We found that it was getting more sulphide rich the deeper we went, and the grades were getting better. We've mapped and costined to the south of the Empire Stockwork. In doing so, we ended up running into some old copper shafts and pits that we can only estimate are sort of circa 1880, 1900s. Those came back with some pretty incredible copper gold assays, and that, along with drilling further south between the copper pits and the Empire Stockwork, will be the main priority of the drilling this year.
And what sort of infrastructure is in place and available to you?
Chillagoe's been a mining district since before the 1900s. There is a mining camp at Chillagoe at the moment. There's an operational mine at Chillagoe at the moment called King Vol. There is a mill at Chillagoe that was built by Kilgara back in 2008, 2009. It's a flotation plant. It's also got a copper circuit. It's got capacity of sort of 500,000 to 600,000 tonnes per year. At the moment, it's on care and maintenance. Octus were the last guys that were utilising that mill, and they were very good to us. They took a lot of samples from our 1920 drilling campaign. They did a lot of bench work with those samples. We've got a pretty good indication now of the metallurgy that would potentially come out of the Empire project. I think we should be able to see, if our research is right, recoveries of at least 92%.
Fantastic. And just finishing off on Empire, how does the Empire compare to other nearby projects?
Our direct neighbours is Red Dome and Mungana and King Vol. Historically, there are a number of old mines in the area. King Vol, Mungana and Red Dome are on the other side of the Palmerville Fault. Okay. Our research tells us they actually sit in a different geology. I think the best example from the research that we've done is probably Kidston. Mm-hmm. There was a paper written that compared the projects to Kidston, and I think it's because of the surface expressions, the veining, the spider veins, the two breccia pipes. I think that's probably the reason.
Let's move on to Bridge Creek. What is the status of the drilling and the mapping at Bridge?
Bridge Creek's a project that comes into us on listing. We haven't actually done any work there personally ourselves. We've done some desktop work. It sits on the Cosmo Halley anticline. It's about 12 k's away from Cosmo Halley. There's probably circa 3 million ounces of reserves around us. Bridge Creek itself is sitting on 3 mining leases. It's had sort of 20 to 25,000 metres of drilling into it, but this was done in the 80s and 90s. Okay. It's all shallow. I think the deepest hole that I could find was 70 metres. I think the drilling conditions up there were extremely tough, and the resource that we've managed to put around Bridge Creek, which is 70,000 ounces inferred, came around about just before Christmas and was done by a chap called Chris Speedy out of Brisbane. And what I found from that project was that almost 40% of the drill hole data we weren't able to use in the JORC resource. So we've got a drill plan now to go back and basically infill that project down to sort of 70 to 100 metres. From that point, what we'll do is turn our attention to some deeper drilling, because we found that is what has brought the ounces in for our neighbours on either side.
Gotcha. And let's go on to your final project, Rocks Reef. I believe I've identified several major targets at Rocks Reef. What is the plan for these targets and what's the time frame?
Rocks Reef was actually the first project that Far Northern Resources picked up. We picked that up together with a bunch of other mining leases that encompassed the Empire project, right? And I think over time we sort of whittled them down to these 2 projects that we thought were keepers. We obviously haven't done as much work as Rocks Reef as we would have liked to, but it's probably one of the more interesting blocks personally for me. There's a lot of early exploration work still there to be done. We've carried out some reconnaissance exploration on that area several times. There's an anomaly there called China Wall that has had about 150 air core holes put into it. I think the deepest hole was 20 metres, and I think the best assay we got out of that was 6 grams at 5 metres. We've put a drill plan in place to push that basement down to 50 metres and do about 2,000 metres of drilling. That anomaly is sort of 3 k's by 1 k wide. And then there's another project there, which is the one that I'm really keen to do some work on, which is called Roadside Copper. It's a huge anomaly. It's sort of 7 k's by 1 k. It's got 3 mag lows. We've found some data in regard to some soil sampling that was done by the previous owners back in the 90s. That's pretty impressive, and we can't wait to get out there and do some IP, and then move on and do some deeper drilling or some exploration drilling, hopefully towards the end of the year.
And obviously a big week for you. You're planning to list at IPO this week. Once you've done the IPO, I guess the big question is, with those funds, how are you going to deploy them?
Company's been active in preparation for the float. We've had geologists on the ground sampling and mapping. Those results should be available to the market in the near term. We've also been in negotiations to secure a contract for 20,000 metres of drilling across the 3 projects. That will start second quarter 2024. We hope that this will allow us to upgrade the resource and potentially move towards some early production.
And Cameron, just to finish off, my last question, is there a plant available?
Far Northern's actually been engaged with the owners of the Mungana plant. We've been exploring the possibilities of some early toll treatment opportunities of the Empire ore. It's early days, but these discussions need to be had with the current gold price.
Cameron, many thanks for your time today, and we look forward to getting back to hear more from you later in the year.
Beautiful, thank you.